think you just protest too much.
Would you like to talk to us?
Sorry?
Would you like to be interviewed by us?
Yeah, of course. Who are
thank
you?
We're from lotuseaters.com.
Okay, well I'll just take a rain check from you.
Okay. Should we just start saying we're from the BBC?
Definitely not.
Get a bigger lens, cameraman! It's all about science.
Let's go!
I won't talk to you about my phone today. Thank you.
Well, I agree with that. That's really
Brilliant. No, I'm not doing any talking today. Thank you.
okay. Great. Excuse me, can I talk to you about the organisation?
No, you can't.
Oh, why is that?
Because I know who you are. And clearly you just want to put some boring spin on this. No, I'm not interested in talking to you.
I just want to know what you're about.
Fancy a milkshake? Well, we know what you're about.
Go on. Where is it? Well, where is it?
Go on, mate.
So what'd you ask?
I just said go and find one, mate.
Well, I'm going to find one.
Yeah. Fascist flavours. I'll suit you. About the age of consent.
I will.
Mate, I don't associate with fascists. That's what he is.
On this exact topic?
Yeah, on anything. You don't want to be anywhere near a
he exploits an issue.
Like,
No, he's not exploiting the issue.
Of course he is.
No, he's not. That's simply
is.
not true. That's simply not true.
But presumably he's the
Okay, here's a question. Do you have to agree with everyone on every topic, or do you think you can be in agreement on some topics? Please step away. Please step away. What's anything here?
What's wrong?
Hang on.
Okay, alright. Hello. Trying to interview some people.
That's fine. I think at the moment, hostility's why I don't want to cause any issue. All right. So let's just keep separate.
Yep.
We've got obviously there's going to be different views of opinion. All right. So because of this, let's just keep separate.
But the issue with this is that they don't have a different view of opinion. That's the point.
No, we actually completely agree.
That's fair enough. But what I don't want to happen is
no
no issues to
I don't
happen
joke
on
about
both
rape
sides.
identities, like this man does. You don't belong in any peaceful demonstration. You're a fascist.
But are you not here to talk
Go
about
and
a
get
bill?
yourself a milkshake, mate.
Why?
Go and get a milkshake.
Why would I want one? I want a keto diet. It's not keto. Can't have it. But why can't you talk to me about the bill? Because I actually really agree with you.
This is part of the problem, though, isn't it? People on different sides of the political spectrum can't have
I was found out to
productive
be
conversations.
respectful and polite to everybody. Apart from fascists.
Why can't have a
respectful, productive
Why do you
conversation
think
with someone who jokes about raping people.
That's right.
So
You
why
don't
do
have a
you
pleasant
up
discussion
like
with this big joke about rape.
on the
Why do you
national
think
stage? Like you can't have a civil conversation with someone like that.
Joking about rape is what makes him a fascist. So Jimmy Carr is a fascist.
Hang on, you stood for the European Parliament on behalf
Not
of the
having
fascist
it.
party.
Like,
UKIP is not a fascist party. Not even slightly.
No,
Not even slightly. They're a constitutional party.
Conversations here are between experienced campaigners and the people filming have got previous record with disrupting things. No, they haven't. We are therefore sidelining them in a peaceful way. And each of us today is organising ourselves. We've risk assessment of ourselves. And we are peacefully protesting. For the rights of future people to continue to peacefully protest. Thank you for being here.
Every person that he was just talking about completely sympathises with this protest. We all agree with the bill. We all agree the right to protest is important. This guy is completely misrepresenting what we're saying. We sympathise with your cause. I have been to every protest in Bristol. Clamping down on the right to protest is a restriction on our liberty. You are all doing the right thing by being here. We are also doing the right thing by being here. Do not listen to this man that's spreading lies. We agree with you. How about that?
Yes, we do.
Because that's actually
do.
true.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We don't care if we've been campaigning for freedom for a long time now.
Like, your idea of freedom is
My
a
idea
very
of freedom is
messed
the
up
government not being able to stop your right to
idea
protest.
of
That's what my
freedom
idea of freedom
the
is.
To be able to shout rape threats. That's
My
your idea of
my
freedom.
idea of freedom is the government
Oh,
not taking
you're
your liberties
disgusting.
away from
You're
you.
gross.
I don't care.
You're gross.
I don't care. What do you think my opinion of you is?
Like,
Not very high.
I don't really care about your opinion on me.
That's a good thing.
Like,
Okay, so let's talk about the issue. How do you feel about the protest bill? How do you
go
feel
away.
about...
Go away.
You started engaging
Nobody
you.
likes you.
That's
Go
okay.
away.
That's okay. What do you feel about the protest bill?
How do you feel about rape jokes? You think they're
I think
appropriate?
they're funny. How do you feel about the protest
And
bill?
you're a
We've got nothing to
weirdo.
talk about it, do we?
Jokes
And
are
you're
funny.
wrong.
There is no
What's
freedom
not
to make
jokes?
rape
That-
jokes.
Your misogyny is gross.
Yeah.
It makes you disgusting.
I'll let
You
my
must
wife
read-
know.
It makes everything else that you stand for look ridiculous. Because
Okay.
you don't have the human decency to appreciate
It's your
people
Mussolini,
who
mate.
are actually existing. Like,
Right,
it's
Mussolini.
absolutely gross.
Yeah, right.
Look, but have you not considered that perhaps some people just don't agree with what you describe these things to be?
Nothing wrong to support our right to protest.
There is more than one way of looking at a situation, and you have a particular perspective, I have a particular perspective, and I think you're wrong.
You would do. Because
But
they're
there you go.
awful. Like,
But that's the
like
point.
you think it's fine to go around making rape jokes? You think it's
I don't do
fine
it generally.
to dish out your misogynistic bile?
What
Like,
misogynistic bile?
Yes, you did, which is why you were
how is it not? How is
No, but what do I
Right,
say
right.
that's misogynistic
Not
bile? One
misogynistic
one
bile.
tweet.
Don't come
is
along
like
here
we're
and pretend you care about freedom.
No,
No, what we're
it's the fact that you double down on your tweets and then you continue
Yeah, the bigger
to
picture is the
say
bigger danger.
your weird kind of justifications that these things are jokes. But they're not jokes really, are
they not?
they? Because I mean, like, just a couple of weeks ago, someone was murdered.
Right?
Yeah.
Who was murdered?
Openly racist.
Sarah Everard, someone was murdered, yeah, in an obviously misogynistic attack, and your
Maybe.
and the level of your discourse contributes to that atmosphere.
How did I contribute to that? Yeah, hang on, it's okay. I wanted to. How do I contribute to that? You've just accused me of being responsible in some part for the murder of Sarah Everard. I'd like to know how you justify that.
Right, because you dish out, yeah, jokes about rape, and you think it's acceptable. You think it's a funny topic
you
of
there.
conversation.
So you are
I'm a little
claiming,
bored
you
of
are
you.
claiming a causal connection between the policeman who murdered Sarah Everard and a joke I made. Do you have any proof of that?
He didn't say there was a direct
He
causal.
just said it.
No, he said.
Yes, he did.
No.
Okay, go on.
What he said was the people who create a general climate where jokes about women being raped is acceptable are partly responsible for attacks on women.
So Jimmy
That's
Carr
obvious.
is connected to the murder of Sarah Everard.
Who is?
Not Jimmy Carr, so don't speak up for
What are you
him.
talking about?
Jimmy
not
Carr,
Jimmy Carr,
in
don't
your
speak
view,
Why?
is contributing to
Why?
the murder of Sarah Everard.
In what regard?
I'm sorry?
In what regard?
In the regard you just explained, that
Right.
this creates an atmosphere,
Right.
and he has
Well, no,
contributed to
not
this
this.
atmosphere.
You create this atmosphere.
Well, me solely.
Well, you are one of the most prominent proponents of rape jokes.
I'm,
Yeah? Yes.
I'm a common proponent of a certain kind of joke, am I?
It's one of the main reasons that you got such a dismal vote when you stood for UKIP, isn't it, you fascist git?
Maybe.
Yeah.
But so
Yeah.
you think I contributed to the murder of Sarah
Of
Everard?
course you do.
You think I
People
did?
like you who tried to
So
make it funny.
the police officer who murdered her.
Yeah, I'm not talking to you anymore.
People,
Okay.
united.
Would you like to continue the point?
Rape.
I don't want to speak to you anymore.
Okay, well, feel free to stop.
United. We'll never be.
Anyway, Carl.
No, no, no.
Yeah, not too bad. Boyd, come along for the laugh. Things about protest, you need to know why you're doing it and explain to us why. Well, tell us then, I want to know. Like when I come to the BLM rally, no one could explain why they were there.
Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just them stoking up racial tensions all the time. That's what they seem to do. You know, they latch onto these things, and it's such a shame. But pity, really.
Well, the thing is, I view it as a kind of hobby that they do.
Yeah, I think so.
That's the thing. Like this normal people, you know, most people like watching the football or something, but I think they do politics.
They do, and they try to take the moral high ground all the time as well. That's what they do.
Why don't you actually talk about the bill?
I'd love to. Would you? What would you like?
Talk about it.
Well, I'm not a protester.
Talking about the bill. Go on.
Okay, I mean, I really dislike the fact that they're trying to sandwich in a really quite authoritarian view of what protesting should be in Britain, in between a bunch of other really good ideas, like increasing the length of prison sentence for child sex offenders, things like this. I think it's the sort of thing that the American politicians do, and I think it's a really gross thing to say.
What do you think about Bristol the other Friday?
What
Do
happened
you think
is...
the police were abusing their power?
Yeah, it seems that way. I mean, I don't like the clampdown on the right to protest anyway.
They were assaulting peaceful protesters with their riot shields.
I saw one video of a woman just standing there who got backed in the face.
Down, cross-legged on the floor. They weren't doing anything, but they got battered with riot shields.
What do you think of them using COVID guidelines as justification for that?
Oh, no comment. No comment.
Why not?
It's not about COVID, is it?
Yeah, but the police are saying because of COVID you can't do this.
We should always have the right to protest.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I completely agree. What's the main thing in the bill that you object to?
The clampdown on protest. Because protest is a safety valve in society. And if you shut off the safety valve, you get an explosion and a pressure cooker. That's why.
That's a good perspective, thank you.
Nice.
I agree with that. I agree with that guy completely, he's right. And this is what we've been saying the whole time, incidentally.
United!
We'll never be defeated! The people united! We'll never be defeated! The people united! We'll never be defeated! The people united! We'll never be defeated! The people united! We'll never be defeated! The people united!
We'll never be defeated! The people united! We'll never be defeated!
Hi, I don't know if I can ask your name, if that's okay, but would you like to tell us about yourself and why you've come to the protest?
Okay, so my name's Heather and I represent an organisation called Wiltshire Against the Badger Cull. So not being able to protest really infringes on that. I also think protests actually raise awarenesses to general public, because quite often, as we've seen with this bill, this wasn't brought to the general public's attention until there was the protest in Bristol, which was then found in the main media. I think the other danger, though, with these protests is that we do protest peacefully, and we do work with the police as well with the protests. And I think if with this bill that endangers that, and then you're going to have protests that aren't working with the police, that can continue to make it a peaceful protest, whichever it is that you're protesting against.
Do you think there's something principally wrong about the government saying, annexing to themselves the ability to say that you're too loud or too interrupting of other people's business, and so you're not allowed to protest? Is there anything about that you find concerning?
I don't understand where that's come from. As we've just had the protest now, we've walked down the road, we've come down, there's been people chanting, there's been music and things like that. I don't think that is majorly disruptive. I think the danger you have is a peaceful protest can involve chants and disruption with regards to traffic and stuff like that. But you can't put that in the same category that you had in Bristol, where you had riots, because that's not a protest, that's a riot, and that's totally separate. And the government have to be clear that they are two separate instances with two totally different types of groups of people.
So I think that the government would reply with an example from Extinction Rebellion protest, where you had gentlemen stopping trains, or they were blocking airports or things like that. Do you think that should be included, or do you think that's too far?
I can't comment really on that, to be honest. I think there's an element of, it's not something that I would get involved in, but I think that sometimes people feel that that's the way they need to go to get the government's attention, to listen to the people. And I think that's the fundamental point of protest, is to get the government to listen to people. We are a democracy, and that's how it should be. We shouldn't be dictated by the government what we can and can't do. It should be done collectively, and we should be able to vote and things like that on these kind of decisions.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.